Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Nigel here again with the buddy build of the A-7V with Ben Wealth from Roadie Hobby Corner. So, where are we? I've painted the bottom of the hull, as you can see. So everything's all nice and covered in red oxide now. So I did this because I knew I'd have issues getting paint in here once the floor panels go on. And built the tracks, and they fit on lovely, as you can see there. They fit on really nice. Done both of them, really good quality. So much better than those Amusing Hobby tracks. Really good. So happy with those. So next thing we got to do now is add the floor panels, which are here, and I've also painted them on the underside. This one I've painted in the middle because it goes on here, and when you look underneath you can see through. So I've made sure that's painted to ensure that's to ensure you don't look up into tan plastic. Left some areas there unpainted for the glue, so we need to get those glued on. So we've got the rear part here, and then we've got the two side parts here. So let's get these glued on, and I think I'll use some thicker cement for this. Thicker than the what I'm gonna have to do is stop the camera and I'll come back to you because I need to get this glue, this Revell let's do another one with a label on. This Revell contactor glue is it's great, it's good stuff, but the problem with it is the stupid design of the needle. It just, you can leave it for 2 minutes and it just blocks up. It's rubbish. So I'll come back in a second. Right, so that's unblocked now. So I'm going to glue this front part on first. If we look in the instructions here, we can see this is what I'm actually doing now. So I'm going to glue this front on first, which is this one. It's going to go on there, and we can see that it comes back to that cross member. So if I put some glue on here, bit on the cross member, a few drops down here, that should be enough to hold that down. In fact, that should be enough to hold a bloody office block down. And that locates on those bits there. And then you can see these bolts sticking through the front. So that fits on there nicely. So that's that glued on like that. Then I'm going to put the rear section on. You can see that this section fits like so. There we go. And that comes up to just the end of the exhaust there. So if I do the same on here, put some glue along there, bit across here. Can't feel how that's gonna, oh, there we go. So that's fitted like that. So that's glued on now. And as you can see, I sanded all this first to get it all dead flat to make sure these fitted squarely. And these are handed. It looks like they're handed. I should have marked them, shouldn't I, before I took them off the sprue. I can see now you've got a raised cutout area there, here, which goes over that cross member foot there, so that must be that one there. So that one's going to go on like that, and then that one's going to go on like that there. So I just put some glue down here, a dab on there, a dab on there. And what I need to do is just remove some of the paint from here. There were actually ejector pin marks in these parts, which I removed. They sanded out easily enough. Some say I'm being too fussy with this under here, but it's shall we say, it's how I roll. I like to I kind of, rather than just knowing, you know, it's not what you can see, it's what you know is there, sort of thing. And it's a bit daft, I know, but it's the way I like to build a model. I like to know that I've done everything. And I mean, obviously areas like in here, which is underneath and you're never going to see because it's inside something, then that's a different story. But if you can pick the model up and look at it underneath or look at the side, I like to know that, you know, I've got rid of the seams, I've got rid of the ejector pin marks, you know, I've done what I can to make sure that the model is good. So put the top back on that glue, and I'm just going to put a tiny drop of extra thin in those seams to make sure they've gone down. And I'm not going to squeeze them because I don't want the glue to ooze out. So just put the extra thin in there, let the capillary action pull it in, and just leave them like that. So that's all glued up now. All lovely. There we go. Let's give that one a nudge inwards. And there we go. So that's that done. So the next thing in the instructions now is to look at the driver. There's two driver seats, I guess. One's a commander, one's a driver. So what I'm going to do is put all this together. Well, what I've already done is put all this together, as you can see here, but I've knocked it. What I'm going to do is break away from the instructions. Actually, all this is assembled, as you can see here. So we've got the two seats, which come off quite easily. All the holes in the floor had to be slightly enlarged. All the holes are slightly smaller, so I've had to do all that. Then we've got this, these brake or some control steering mechanisms here. There was a short shot on there. You can see that piece of white plastic rod. I've had to replace that. Then we've got a steering wheel here, which just sits in that hole there, like so. So that's all done. Then we've got these more levers here. And then we've got this pedal assembly here. Those pedals sat really high. The guy must have had his bloody knees in his chest to drive this. If it's accurate, if I could just show you, if I get that in place, like so, and then you put the seat there, you can see how high those pedals are. I mean, it's look at that, it's crazy. Just put this, it's all very clumsy, all this. Oh, come on. It just all wants to fall down all the time. But you can see there how high those pedals are compared to the seat. Some massively high pedals. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue this onto here and then paint everything with red oxide. And then when I come to paint it white, what I can do is hairspray it, paint it white, and then do some chipping. So I need to glue this on, and I need to make sure I get it the right way round. I'm guessing it will only go one way, but then you've got to be a little bit careful with this kit, because as I've found with a lot of it, it will go, a lot of parts will fit the wrong way round. So it fits that way. We've got these pegs here that go into these slots here. And it looks like it will also fit that way. That is terribly designed, terribly engineered. You know, why couldn't they make it so that it only goes one way? So it's showing you here that they're looking at the instructions. I can see a lump in the floor there, which is that lump there. And there's a slot here, and the seats face this way. So we assume this is the back and this is the front, and that little aerial type thing is in that back corner, so it goes that way. That's terrible, Meng. They should have put like 3 tabs on one side and 2 on the other or something. This you know, for a beginner or somebody who's a little careless, it's easy to mess this up. So that's going to go on like that. For some reason that corner is being held away. There's some ejector pins on the back. I must say with Meng, I do like Meng kits, but the ones I've looked at lately and the ones I've built or started or whatever, like that M911, absolutely plastered in ejector pin marks. You know, absolutely plastered. There's 6 on the back of there. You think, why? You know, why are there 6 ejector pin marks on there? It's only got these 2 ribs holding it in the tool. It shouldn't need all them. So so there we go. So what I'll do, I think I'll clamp this. Couple of close pegs on there, and I clamp it before I glue it. So a little full of these little tips. If you clamp it before you glue it, you won't get all the glue oozing out. Whereas if you glue it first and then clamp it, you'll get the glue oozing out of the joint. So there's a little tip for the newer modelers out there. See, if I glued this now and then clamped it, all the glue would ooze out. So let's get my backwards pegs. Let's try and find another peg. I seem to have lost all my pegs. I don't know where they've gone. They're probably on an unfinished model somewhere. Because I'm good at unfinished models. Just a tiny dab on there. Let some get through, and there we go. So that's glued on now. Let that go off. So what's next? So now we're coming on to these radiators, which go here and here. And again, we've got a front and rear. Looks like this part of the assembly is pretty much the same. The radiators are the same, and then we've got all these slats going on. And then we've got differences front and rear, because obviously this is part of the engine compartment, and I'm guessing they'll go up to the roof then. So these are 71001, which is white, and 71007, which is, I believe, green. 71007 is olive green. So all this is olive green, so I need to build this up and paint it green before I fit it to here. So I'll get all those bits off the sprue and then start getting them together. Right, so that's all glued on and dried out now and everything. So this is all ready for some red oxide paint, and I'll get some paint underneath there on that joint as well. I've got all the parts off the sprues for these front and rear radiators, and yeah, there's one good point about all this. Just doing this part here has enabled me to get rid of about 5 sprues, I think, which gives you a bit of room in the box, because it is a very, very cram box, this one. And I do like throwing away sprues as they become empty, because it gives you a feeling of sort of, you know, you're getting somewhere with it. So we've got a lot of little widgets and bits and pieces here, as you can see in the bottom of these trays. I've also got my photo etch brass panels off, and if you remember from my inbox review, one of those has got damage on it. So I think what I might do is, once they're on, I think I might sort of damage them all over and knock them about a bit like they've been hit about. Something else I've realised, somebody asked me how I'm going to show the interior off, and my plan was to perhaps have the body lifting off. Well, I don't think that's going to be possible, because the where is it? It's here somewhere. Yeah, the actual body of the tank, the hull, has these plates on, so that's going to prevent it lifting off. And the other problem is, if you actually leave a door open or anything so you can see inside, you're going to see this sort of cavity here with nothing in it, where there should be an engine. So I think the only option really sensibly to look at the inside is have the roof removed, or even there's a central panel. Here's the roof section, there's a panel there, so have that coming out perhaps. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, so a lot of the work I've done down here I needn't have done, but you know, it's there, I know it's there, and I've done it, and you guys have seen it, so I enjoy it, you know. And for me, I don't really so much enjoy just whacking parts together. I enjoy the finishing touches and the finesse and the getting it right sort of side of things. So yeah, so I've got all those parts off of there. Something else I've noticed, which is a bit unfortunate, I don't know what it's like on other Meng kits, but if you look at Tamiya and Wingnut Wings, they always try to put their sprue connection points in an area you won't see them. So for example, you know, there's nothing here I can show really, but they would mould these radiators with sprue connection points on the bottom, so that, you know, all the top is left sort of untouched by sprue connection points. But I've noticed that all of these greeblies, every single one of them, the actual sprue connection point is on the top. Like with this one here, the actual sprue connection point is where the pointer is going from B13. This one here, there's one on the top. These here, you've got these D6s. The actual sprue connection point is the exposed face that you're looking at. I'm assuming they're gauges or something. The same here, the sprue connection point is on the front. It's a bit daft. These here, the sprue connection points, are on these sides facing out, whereas they could be on the inside facing in. And yeah, when I spoke to Richard at Wingnut Wings at Scale Model World, you know, I said it's amazing how they actually managed to get all the sprue connection points out of sight. And yeah, my favourite story of all, I may have said this before, I hope I'm not repeating myself, the Revell BF109G, there's on the right hand side of the cockpit, you've got the fuel line going through, and on that part there is a glass, sight glass, so the pilot can see the fuel is flowing, or it might be a filter or something, I don't know. So Revell thoughtfully made that pipe which comes through the bulkhead, through the cockpit, down and underneath the dashboard and into the engine bay, and they made that part from clear plastic, which was really thoughtful of them. So now you can paint that pipe and just have that bit of clear plastic exposed to show the glass filter or sight glass, whatever it is. It's only about sort of, I don't know, 2 mil diameter, if that. And they put the bloody sprue connection point on that part that's got to remain clear. I mean, how stupid. In fact, I'll go and get it and I'll show you. Okay, so here you go. Here's the instructions for the, this is the Revell BF109G6. And you can see this is the fuel line I'm talking about here. And they've got UU, that's going to be like black or something. And then OO, this is going to be the actual colour of the pipe's got to be. And this section in here in the middle, this is the clear glass part that you can see, so that the for the pilot to be able to see that he's got fuel flow, or it's a filter, I don't know what it is. And then when you actually look at the part, look at that. They've put the sprue connection on the actual part that you're going to remain to be seen. I mean, how absolutely ridiculous is that? That has got to be one of the best faux pas I've seen in injection moulding, and like not thinking about what they're doing. Absolutely ridiculous. It's great, isn't it? Eh? Absolutely great. Anyway, I digress. One thing to say though is that kit, that Revell BF109G6, it is a bloody bargain. I mean, when you look at a Tamiya Spitfire, sort of, you know, the best price you're going to find for those, I think, is about £85. I think it retails over 100 now, and that thing's like 20 quid, £25. You know, it is bloody cheap. And their Spitfire, apparently it's got some issues, but, you know, £18 or something, I think it is, for a 32nd scale Spitfire. You know, it's wonderful. Anyway, like I said, I digress. So on with this, as I said, I've cut all these parts off. If you are building this kit, there's something to be wary of. Where these panels fit, they go radiator side out, they sort of slot down into the floor like this, and the back one is fine, but you'll see the front one is deeper, and I've had to cut these little reliefs in it because it doesn't want to fit down between the floor. So I've had to cut those little reliefs in it to make sure it fits in there okay. And you need to make sure that when you fit this, that these little pips, the parts that go into these holes, go in fully, because on one side it's relieved for this it's this way it goes in. You've got a ledge around the side here, you can see on there, and that has to go around the floor, and on this side it's there, on this side it's not, so I've had to actually cut away some plastic so that it fits in flush like so. What you don't want is a gap in here, because that'll look bloody awful. So yeah, there's a little bit of cuttery and jiggery pokery going on there to get those to fit in nice and smoothly, but eventually they do go, and then you get that kind of, there we go, you'll get that nice flush finish of the floor up against those bulkheads. So that's something worth remembering. I'm going to do some research on the colours. I find it hard to believe that the floor would have been painted white and this would have been all painted green. I would have thought they'd have painted the whole thing white and then the radiators would be bolted on. So I'm going to do a bit of research and see what's going on there. The other thing is the instructions tell you to paint the radiators like a metallic black colour. I would have thought they'd just been matte black or semi-gloss black, not like a metallic black. So I need to check that out as well. So I'm going to go on and get all this painted up now, and I'll be back with you in a second. Right, so that's all painted now and everything. I've got this gun mat on it, it's just placed in there, it's not glued in. I expect the paint's holding it in actually, because obviously that's going to be painted that white, and I want to get that chipped up as well, in you know, same as the floor. So that's all ready now for painting white after it's had a coat of varnish and hairspray. I always put a coat of matte varnish on before I do my paint chipping, because worst thing can happen is you start paint chipping and then you get through to the tan plastic, and you really don't want that. So so that's something I always do, give it a good coat of I'll probably give it a coat of gloss varnish, because it's the Tamiya X22, is it? It's hard as nails, and then give it a matte coat over that, and then put the hairspray on. You don't want to be scratching away your hairspray and having gloss coming through. And also with if you put gloss on and then do the hairspray, it can chip very, very easily, and you don't necessarily want that. So over here I've got some parts sprayed. Ignore this is a Tamiya Spitfire I'm working on, these parts here. These are the radiators with the parts that they're saying in the instructions, brass. I had a look online, I can't really see much. There's a few pictures of the inside of the one that's in Australia, but I can't really see what colours everything is. So basically I've just undercoated everything in red oxide, and then I'll paint it the right colour and chip it afterwards. In fact, I've just realised I've forgotten to do those parts that go across the radiators here, those parts. So all of this now is off the sprues, all cleaned up and all ready to go. I need to leave this brass to dry for a couple of hours before I put something over that and then mask it, and then I'll probably give that a very quick flash of the gloss varnish when I do the floor, and then I can mask that and paint the black on the radiators. I always like to paint these radiators, if ever you're putting mesh on, I think it's always worth painting in behind the mesh first, and then when you put the mesh on, you don't have to concentrate on getting the paint in to go in behind the mesh. You could just flash the paint over the top of the mesh and not worry about too heavy a build up and blocking up your holes and everything. It's particularly important with the finer mesh. If you look on here, this is my as yet incomplete Jaeger Panzer, whatever it's called, E100, and you can see that I've painted in behind the mesh before I glued it on, and you can see that it looks quite effective. Once you've painted the mesh, you've got the black coming through from behind, and I haven't had to concentrate on working it away. This side here is scratched because it had lifted, and yeah, I've had to glue it and rub it back down again. So that's why that's scratched. This is stalled pretty much, this one. I need to get back on it because it's practically finished. It's quite a nice model actually. There's the tracks for it there. They're all painted up and everything. But you know, you've got to be so careful they just fall apart. So that's it for that one. So I'm going to let that dry overnight and then put some varnish on it and stuff. I generally tend to leave stuff at least a couple of hours before I varnish it with the gloss, because I have had experience of it cracking up, or you know, wrinkling up before. So we'll leave that there. That's part 6 I think done, and I'll see you for part 7 in a couple of days. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.